What's up, everybody? This is Joe Zaragoza doing my little YouTube and live training still. Day 11, done 11 uh, of these videos, and my purpose here is to ensure that you got all the information. These are for the service members planning to get out. These are for the guys who are working on an aircraft day in, day out in the military. And one thing that we don't talk about enough is what's your plan after you transition? Because unfortunately, you're not going to be doing this forever. I don't think you're gonna be in the military still at 65 years old. So, what for especially active duty, you're gonna be super young. 38 years old. It's really young if you retire. And if you get out at around 6 years, you're 24. So you're still going to be young when you separate. And I want to ensure that you're armed with all the resources and information you need, have some expectations of what it's like on the civilian side. Because unfortunately, I didn't know all these opportunities were out there. And some of the stuff, has changed. Some of the mentality of the companies, especially in aviation, even though they're looking for a lot of people, some of them would buy. If you know how to turn a wrench and you have a heartbeat, they'll hire you. But if you're trying to get into the upper echelons of, a certain type of company and there's competition, of course, and nowadays, because of social media, you have to market yourself, like getting your LinkedIn, having your Facebook, contributing to the community of other military maintainers, because that's how you'll get noticed. People will be safer and a little more certain when you have that commitment in, right? So being involved with these communities, you can network. You can kind of show what type of person you are. If you're helpful, of course, that's the type of people they're looking for, right? So, and I've been to a lot of these little workshops on how to get hired. How I will sit into the local ones, and talk about, and a lot of it is the same thing. It's almost the same template, right? And I can see and understand where they're coming from, right? If you called me and I wasn't on social media, first of all, you probably wouldn't call me because you wouldn't know that I existed, and I still don't exist a lot out there. So doing these 11 days things is hopefully after hundreds or thousands of these shows that I can start stretching corner to corner, because not everybody's gonna be know who I am. So I know that, and I need to put in hundreds of pieces of content out there for you to get just a small portion, right? So help me spread the word, get people who are separating, share this message, have them reach out to me. Why? Because everything changed for me and it was funny because this guy didn't even like me. As it, I don't know why. We just had a clash, and it's rare that a lot of people don't like me. It's rare that anybody even doesn't like me, and that's okay. And I usually get along with everybody, and I can get along even if we had a little spat, and I can do that. And I still helped out that guy, and I gave him all the thanks. If he came to my class, and I told him, I was like, hey, this is all because of you. All of this is because of you. And the reason was because I was working in the belly of a A10 and phase right before I'm about to get out, 10 months out. This guy gets a call from education center or the FAA. Inspectors are looking to help guys with their 8610-2. And huge props to the FAA in Scottsdale, FISDO, for providing that service, because they've been awesome to work with. Sometimes, certain inspectors are a little difficult to work with, but that's everywhere. I understand that. But huge props to those offices going out to military bases to help out these guys getting their 8610-2s. So, but anyways, if it wasn't for that call and that supervisor to tell me, hey, go get your AMP. I mean, that's what he told me. I'm pretty sure he didn't know what that was either. But I got my training records together and I went out there and got my forms. And then I went down the rabbit hole. It was like, after I got my authorization, I was like, what is this? What's the next steps? And all this jazz. And I reached out to a few people and, they explained to me what it is, what's opportunities out there. I went, talked to a cousin who's at Lockheed. He was like, hey, if you do this, you can get this job that pays $87,000 right off the bat. And just coming in right out of the service. So it piqued my interest. And as I go further down the rabbit hole, I saw all the things it can do. And then having the prep school, gave me exposure to what recruiters are looking for, and then going to the director of maintenance who are actually feeling the pain because they need technicians and they want a certain type of technician. And I've had presidents of companies come to me and asking me, hey, I want a military maintainer. So this video is about what these guys are looking for. When you go and doing these interviews, what type of mindset do you need to have going in? Okay. And we us technicians who served in the military has a certain mindset that things should just be given to us. Oh, we worked in the military and on these aircraft, a license should just be given to me. And I see that a lot in in these Facebook groups. And yes and no, but there's tests, there's exams to get the foundational part done, that you do understand that. And once they have that standard, because a lot of people's lives are on the line when they fly in an aircraft, right? And it's our responsibility that we provide a safe aircraft for them. So this stuff is serious. And you guys are not underperformers. You guys are the type of technicians that should be working on this aircraft. Okay, so I want to remove any fluff, any kind of hype around the AMP. AMP can open up a lot of doors for you if you go into the industry without it. So your experience, your certification, and do matter, okay? And if they're gonna bring you on into their company, of course, they want you aligned, or make sure they hire a technician that is aligned with their values of that company, okay? So, so today I'm just gonna break down a little bit what I've been exposed, just in my own opinion, what I've seen, what I've learned when these hiring managers or recruits, they have an incentive, they're gonna bring in anybody, okay? But ultimately, you're gonna be meeting the director of maintenance, the president of a company, depending on how big or small this company is. They're gonna want to see what type of mindset you have, right? Other than they already know you got your AMP, they already know that you worked in the military, but they want to know where your mindset's at and what are you gonna do for the company. And that's the big thing, is that we make this mistake, like, I already have the skills, kind of arrogant, and you don't want to position yourself in that way, right? These guys are hiring you on, they see you as an asset, and ultimately a kind of minimize their risk, right? That's what they're really looking for. And you don't want somebody that's always going to be handheld the whole way. It could be 2 years from now, you're going to be handheld. They want to know that you're a go-getter and you have the right mindset. And what are you going to do for the company, right? Do I trust this person, in my operation? So it isn't so much about intelligence. It's about, are you going to be a risk? And just keep yourself in that mindset. Don't be arrogant, talking to these guys. It goes far as back as something I always tell people, or my conversations with the FAA, when military maintainers are getting their tickets, it's like, they should just be handed to it. As we know, if you're old enough, nothing is just handed to you. We got to be in a mindset that you have to continue to earn these spots. Yes, you served, a unselfish, volunteered to join the military, but now you're in the civilian sector, and they got to think about if you're going to be a risk. Okay, so judgment is huge. Now that okay, so now that you know this, they want to know how you're going to be under pressure, right? And even in the military, there's guys who are, have some anxiety and stuff like that about, big jobs. But we know how to balance that. We know how to control that, right? So obviously in aviation, safety is a big thing, right? Having that mindset of safety, okay? Pulling out the card and say, hey, this is not safe. We got to do this right the first time. Taking shortcuts is not the way just because you're trying to get a job done. It's not worth it. They want to know your mindset towards following procedures, what type of risks you're going to take, and uh, following in instructions, right? When a hiring manager, or not a hiring manager, let's say a director of maintenance tells you to do a job, they want to know if you're going to try to find the shortcut to it. No, you're going to follow the procedure, right? So when you have the conversation of when it comes to safety, don't don't be casual about it. Don't be relaxed about it, right? Take it serious because they do notice that how you talk about it. All right, that's a big thing in with these director of maintenance guys because you're gonna be interviewing with these guys. So I just want to emphasize the importance of trying to be a value add to their company, to their team, to their operation. Okay. Another thing I see in all different types of walks of life industries, whether it's sales or whether it's instructors or training programs, um, this one is a big one. It's coachability. This one really surprises people because you always hear about that guy. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Let that guy coach you. Be coachable, okay? Because this guy, this director of maintenance has seen a lot of things, probably seen a lot of things in his own career, different type of environments, and I guess they don't want the know-it-alls, right? Because you could be making a mistake, and if you're not the type of person to be coachable, you're not listening to this guy give you, even though it might be done to your perspective, but this guy comes with experience of what's right, what's wrong, and in an operation. Okay, so be humble. Don't let the ego beat you every time. All right, you gotta be professional. And another thing is, this is one thing I hiring people myself is on this next topic is, are you a team fit? Right? There's a type of, like in my operation, I look at, is this guy a fit? Right? You got to be coachable. And also on top of that, your mannerisms or your mindset, are you going to be a fit for this team? Okay, are you go-getters, or are you, or also you got to think about if think about in your own way, are you a fit for this? If this is going to stress you out, or maybe they don't see culture. So kind of goes both ways. But as far as when you're talking to people who hiring you, they got to know if you're going to be a fit. All right. So let's see what I said. A fit, it doesn't mean you don't have to be the smartest person, right? Especially if you're coming in new. Uh, you know, when you're talking to these guys, you're looking forward to learning more and continuing to learn. And are you the type that needs to be handheld all the time? So if training is super important, but you also got to figure things out yourself, right? You got to be, because that's your responsibility too. Is that at least in the military, I was taught that even though I didn't know something, I should have known. It's you taking fully accountability, right? So they're gonna see that is, are you gonna be, do you come with that type of mindset and fit in their culture? The big thing is this person gonna make my team stronger, or are you like a Debbie Downer and make it worse? That's just an example, right? So they're gonna see if this is gonna be a value add to my team. Do you get stuff done fast and doing it right, or are you gonna make others better as well? I never understood where people it's like this scarcity mindset. Like, I'm gonna do all this work. I'm the one they go to. Yeah, that's a good thing they go to you for everything. Yeah, you pick up people's slack. But guess what? That's only for the short term, because eventually if you're always picking up somebody's slack and you're doing all this work, eventually that guy's gonna get dealt with. Eventually, uh, that guy just doing the bare minimum, they're gonna see that, and you're gonna shine because if you're a go-getters are not gonna complain that they're always doing the work, always doing this guy's work. Oh, I'm always picking up this guy's slack. I promise you, that guy's gonna get dealt with eventually. Okay, so this is where you're gonna have the edge, because you do have that mindset to get stuff done right and on time. So listen to me on this. It's okay if they go for you, because they're giving you more opportunities, and you're eventually gonna shine, right? And keep those complaints to a minimum. Like, if anything, that should be a good thing. Okay, that you love challenges, you like to take on uh, this work. You can do it better than maybe somebody else, but in a humble way. Okay, I never saw that as a negative. That's just me. That you're continually doing work, and if it could be an opportunity. Maybe you can train somebody, right? That's that part. Are you going to be a value add? Are you going to be a risk? Or are you going to make the team weaker? And for the most part, most maintainers have that already, right? You already trained and learned through strict standards of the military, right? You come with reliability. You know how to follow the TO. You know how to document, because these things are being beaten into us, right? And if there's a problem, you already know the chain of command, and you keep people accountable. It was like, hey, dude, I see that you're having this problem with X. Let me train you. What do you think you need improvement on? Are you having problems with this type of tool or this type of procedure? And just making sure you keep people accountable of that, right? So that's what leadership's about. Is they're going to see that in you, that you can be mature and provide that accountability, and just level up other people around you. So this part will help you, having those type of conversations with the hiring manager. You're just going to shine. Okay, now, just like I mentioned before, this is how you will lose in an interview. It's always complaining about others, really not taking accountability, right? Why is this guy always not doing his job? Maybe it's just a training situation, and you got to bring that up. That's hurting the team. Are you there to improve the environment? Are you gonna make it better? Or and sometimes guys just suck, but you got to do your part to exhaust all the resources to level up the team around you. And it can be from anybody. It can be You could be the bottom of the pole, but you can't. You were gone through leadership school. You've gone through uh, put in positions to be a leader. Bring that over. Okay, don't be the one that just complaining and not trying to fix the situation. And if they smell that from you, you're gonna lose that job or that opportunity. Okay, maybe not even lose a job, but um, they got to see that you're there to improve the environment. Okay, so it's not so much about your skills. It could be your attitude and it could be your mindset. So it's not just about tools. It's not about how good and fast you can replace a part. It's the other skills. It's the mindset. Okay, and how another big one is being not in a way creative, but um, not being arrogant, not having the ego hurt because somebody knew how to do a job, and and it hurts you, and you kind of like you exude that type of attitude that you were butthurt about it. Okay, so this goes back to being coachable, right? So it's about the team. It's about safety, right? It's not always just about how you turn a wrench or how good you can turn a wrench, because you could be an awesome technician, but show the leadership side of you. Okay, so here you gotta think like a hiring manager, right? Stop asking how to prove I'm this good. Is think about how can I make the team better, how to minimize risk, and ask questions when you don't know something. You might feel dumb, but you're brand new. So ask questions. Hey, how does this get done? I know this is simple. You probably went over it a couple of times. Ask those tough questions. Don't take it personal. Let the ego block you from being afraid to ask a question because it might make you look dumb. It's okay. Just ask the question, and that's the game. It's what can I do to make your job easier? That's how I always think. It's like, what? I've been bothering with this, this type of training. These guys don't understand this part. All right, we can have a little training session and you organize it. That improves everybody else. That reduces the risk of people getting hurt, or, an aircraft reduces the risk of an aircraft being, staying grounded. So think like a hiring manager. What would I want in a team? And what are you going to, what kind of value are you going to add? Yes, you know how to turn a wrench, but there's going to be other aspects, right? And we always been part of teams, and you already know this. Yes, you can do a lot yourself. However, you got to think you might have to sacrifice some time to train somebody. But eventually, if a person is coachable, he'll eventually pick up the skills or pick up the knowledge or doing something right, and you just added value to that team. So, like I said, my mission is to help you bring what I learned from the civilian side and take the words from me that I learned from other people who are looking for you. And I ask them all the time, what do you look for? And watch some of my interviews. This is what they do. They are what they look for. Talent. The recruiters have a little bit of insight, and they prep you for the interview. But I'm prepping you here from what the people on the floor are looking for. Okay, so if you have any questions or if I'm missing something, please comment below. What are some great qualities you look for if you're a director of maintenance or you're a leader on the floor? What are you looking for in a guy? And what can the military guys can just leave in the military, But if you know somebody's about to get out, have them reach out to me and I can help them out with their AMP. So I'm building a community of not only just getting you through the AMP, but connecting you with employers and we're trying to build an awesome community where you can connect with director maintenance. We have a couple of them already in this community, and they're looking for guys just like you. So understanding how these guys operate, what they're looking for in their team, you know, it can make a big difference in that interview, and you know, and eventually they will bring you on. So comment below if you have other great tips and advice for these guys going into the civilian side for you who are already in it. Uh, that way I can uh, preach this out to the guys needing this information, okay? Because I wish somebody came out to our shop and talked about it, or if I had a mentor, right? So you join the school. I'll put it here in the screen. Join the community. You know, if you're director of maintenance, you know, come on and join the community. Help these guys out, get prepared for the next chapter in their lives. And with that, I'm pulling chocks. Have a great Sunday, and let's crush this week.